A police commander's husband goes missing, and law enforcement seems to think he might have taken off on his own. Then he is found murdered, and the case soon turns into a whodunit. This as another death occurs, leaving one man holding all the cards. My name is M. William Phelps. I'm an investigative journalist and the New York Times best-selling author of dozens of true crime books. I've dedicated the past 26 years of my life to helping families of the missing and murdered. Join me. We're crossing the line. Julie Harding was a young, 20-something, vibrant, highly educated woman in 1999 when she began her career with the California Highway Patrol. As most do, patrolling the state's freeways, which is, in my opinion, one of the most dangerous jobs in law enforcement, simply because you never know who you might be pulling over. Julie is beautiful. Brown hair, striking blue eyes, a thin face with sharp features, and she's in great physical shape. The California Highway Patrol is an agency designed to do exactly what the name implies: maintain safety, service, and security along California's vast amount of freeway systems. The agency is also responsible for state properties and, one might be surprised to hear, California Highway Patrol officers can exercise their law enforcement powers anywhere in the state. By 2018, 45-year-old Harding has worked her way up into CHP's captain's chair. And she is also the new commander of the Yuba City-Sutter area of the state, just north of Sacramento. This is an intense job. Running the ship proves demanding and carries with it loads of responsibility. Julie, however, rises to the occasion. She has the respect of her colleagues and bosses and seems to be working her way up through the ranks, setting herself up for a great retirement. Married to Army and Navy veteran Michael Harding a year later, in 2019, who is 8 years older, Michael is one of those guys who would do anything for anyone and give you the shirt off his back during the process. Mike is a good man, one of his friends tells KCRA News. He's one of those integrity through the roof guys. He couldn't tell a lie. He would always do everyone right. And that is what Julie saw in Mike when they first met. Someone who cared about people and at the same time truly saw that there was more to life than work, that for a good balance, you needed to take time for yourself and those you love. Mike owns an HVAC business in the Sacramento area. He and Julie married later in life, and Mike has 2 children, a son and daughter from a previous marriage. But he and Julie are kind of raking in the money together and socking it away, planning on retiring to Salina, Tennessee, of all places, and living the country life together. They can picture themselves sitting on their wraparound porch, rocking the evening away, the sun setting over a meadow of wildflowers, as they take in the pleasures of a leisurely way of life after spending most of it working their fingers to the bone. By the end of summer 2022, all of those dreamy images of enjoying the country days and nights together, holding hands and walking through the landscape, just kind of easing into retirement, have been shattered. The marriage had begun to fall apart years before, but by 2022, Julie and Mike are heading towards a courtroom and divorce. It was Mike who asked Julie for the divorce, though it was Julie who ultimately filed for legal separation in May 2022. By then, they had already purchased a nice property overlooking Dale Hollow Lake in Salina, and Mike had decided he would live there. Within no time, Mike has a group of friends in the area, and he begins fishing and hanging out with them. Soon, he has a girlfriend who is mostly living with him. With his gray beard and hair to match, tall and handsome and social, Mike has no trouble meeting people who are instantly attracted to his calm and pleasant energy. And once you meet the guy, you understand why so many adore him. He's just fun to be around. Julie remains in California and continues to oversee the CHP command post in the Sacramento area. They can split their assets and go their separate ways. Sometimes things don't work out the way we plan. It's just living life on life's terms. Most people go with the flow, mourn their losses, and move on. It's not the end of the world at 50 to be starting a new life. Trust me on that. Been there. It's not easy, and there is pain, but most of us are resilient and can weather the situation just fine. After the Harding divorce is filed, and terms are still being discussed, Julie does something that feels very much in contrast with her more law enforcement side. Beginning on March 9th, 2022, then again on the 23rd and 24th, without Mike's consent, Julie goes into the joint account and withdraws upwards of about $250,000 of their money. She effectively cleans them out, or, as the bank reports, cashes out their joint accounts. Within a few days, a note is found in Tennessee at Mike's house. No money here. It's clear Julie is angry and upset by the marriage imploding. But stealing all of their money and obviously taunting the guy is another matter entirely. It's criminal. It's as if she enjoyed sticking it to the guy and taking a large part of his retirement away from him. Hell hath no fury, as they say. One can feel discarded, thrown away, pushed aside for something new and fresh. Julie was no doubt planning on spending the remaining years of her life with Mike, and when it exploded on her, she allowed some inner rage to begin to control her actions. This is the challenge during these, challenging times in our lives. To understand that the way you might be feeling one day is temporary and will not be your life forever. Things will look different on the other side when some time has passed and you look back. Most of us can see this, understand it. We can control our emotions. Others just cannot. Julie is bitter and feels tossed away. So she festers and allows the situation to control her. And look, Julie is an intelligent person. Mind you, one does not become commander and captain without some sort of psychological control of themselves and an understanding of how life ebbs and flows. Yet something snaps in Julie. She begins to see only red. Eventually, those around her feel she will likely calm down, see that she acted in a criminal manner, for one, stealing their money, and toss up her arms in defeat and let things play out legally within the divorce court system. Yeah, this is, as you know, a true crime show. On September 19th, 2022, Mike is at home in Tennessee. He takes a service call to head out to Burkesville, Kentucky. It's about a 30-minute drive from Salina, where Mike now lives, just over the state line. It's 11 a.m. Mike packs his tools and makes the drive. His plan is to check out the HVAC call and then continue on to Bowling Green to pick up a tuxedo. A friend of his is getting married, and Mike is slated to be in the wedding party. Mike's friend doesn't hear from him after chatting earlier in the day, as Mike was getting ready to head out on that service call. Mike had even said he'd call his friend after he picked up that tuxedo. But he fails to text or call and stops responding to calls and texts from his friend, who begins to grow very concerned. It is unlike Mike not to do what he said he'd do. Then a call is made to the tuxedo shop. No, he never came by and picked it up. Now things are just strange. Mike's friend gets a few more of his and Mike's other friends together, and they begin looking for him. Something could have happened on the job, or Mike had a heart attack and drove off the road, or he got into a car accident. You know the drill. We go through a litany of bad things that can happen to a loved one when they are not where they are supposed to be. It's human nature. Fear. We think the worst. The Clay County Sheriff's Office gets involved the next day, September 20th, after Mike is reported missing. The sheriff tells Mike's friends that in these types of cases, it's hard to begin getting yourselves all worked up and scared. The guy is, after all, an adult. He can come and go as he pleases. He doesn't need to check in with people. A guy can disappear if he wants to. Thus far, there is no indication that any foul play is involved or that Mike is in any danger. Several more days pass. Now the situation is beginning to feel dark and absolutely like something has happened to Mike. His friends ask the sheriff how things are looking. No foul play is suspected, the sheriff tells them. There's not much more we can tell you. Deep down, Mike's friend later tells KCRA News, I knew that we were not going to find Mike alive. The sheriff finally decides to track Mike's phone. This after almost a week goes by and nobody has heard from the guy. No way Mike would not answer family and his kids' calls and texts. They ask Commander Julie Harding, his soon-to-be ex-wife, and she says she hasn't heard from Mike either, which is kind of weird. When the records come in from Mike's phone, they are able to piece together where he went on that day. Since September 19th, Mike's phone has not been used. Another clear indication something is wrong. The call he took for that HVAC job was from a realtor, which I'm going to put in quotes there. Simply because someone claims to be a realtor, it does not mean they actually are. The house is a small, white, 4-room ranch on Glasgow Road in Burkesville. And they head out to have a look and begin a more concerted search for Mike. This is a week later, remember. They get there and they realize the house is empty. Opening the door and walking in, there is Mike. Clearly dead for some time. Murdered by what the sheriff determines to be multiple gunshot wounds. I have a feeling you think you know where this one is going. But there are a few big twists coming, I can promise you that. You are listening to Crossing the Line with M. William Phelps, a true crime podcast. We'll be back right after this short break. I'd like to let you know I have a new book out, the first book I've published in 5 years. It's called They Came for Blood. I have always wanted to write Westerns, a dream since my childhood. Tom Callahan was once President Ulysses S. Grant's deadliest kept secret, a lethal gun for hire leading a team of assassins nobody knew existed. Now those days are over, or so he thought. Therefore, when the past comes for blood, you either draw first or die trying. Look for They Came for Blood on Amazon.com or anywhere books are sold. Check it out. There's a lot of murder in the book, so it's not a departure from my day job. It's hard to hear on the Ring camera footage, but a woman walks up to the front door of a home in Murfreesboro, Tennessee on October 10th, 2022, about 2 weeks after Mike's body is found. She has a dog leash in her hand. She is clearly sneaking up to the house. She begins to open the door and she whispers, "Hi, Charlie. Come on, come on." Charlie is Mike's dog. His girlfriend has the dog at her place, seeing that Mike had been found murdered. The woman then opens the door and steals the dog, leashing it and hurriedly walking away. When Mike's girlfriend, still of course extremely upset over Mike's death, sees this video, she recognizes the woman as Julie Harding. She files a report with the local Murfreesboro police alleging trespassing. Mike's girlfriend had actually told Julie she could take the dog, but she insisted that they set up a time and meet at a local police department to do the exchange. She had seen what Mike had gone through with Julie, and she wasn't taking any chances. On top of that, come on, Mike doesn't have an enemy in the world. And suddenly, while he and Julie are engaged in what was turning out to be a contentious divorce with allegations that Julie had stolen all of their money, Mike is found dead? You'd have to go right at the spouse. Mike's girlfriend was not about to meet a woman who could have murdered her boyfriend alone somewhere. What does Julie do? Steals the dog. As investigators begin to dig into Mike's murder, they focus on the fake realtor who contacted him on that day he was last heard from. They get the so-called realtor's phone number. Well, of course they do. And they get it from Mike's phone. And they start to look at the activity on that phone. The phone was not in service an awful lot and seemed to be specifically used mainly to contact Mike and one other number. They are working on tracking down within those first few weeks of the investigation. Who was this guy who said he worked for a large realty group? Why would he be meeting Mike at that house where Mike's body was found? Because he obviously murdered him. Still, who was the guy to Mike? Did Mike know him? Had they had some sort of deal going on? The second number the guy was calling, you guessed it, is Julie Harding's phone, the CHP commander and soon-to-be ex-wife of Mike Harding. So it was not a stretch to think at this point that Julie and this fake realtor had conspired to have Mike killed. The dude's name is Thomas Francis O'Donnell. He's from Napa, California. He's in his 60s. O'Donnell is a kind of second-rate criminal, first-rate wannabe, if you follow what I'm saying. Thinks he's a tough guy, but he's actually not. In 2006, O'Donnell was busted for stalking and threatening to kill an ex-girlfriend. So right there we know he's a coward, and he's weak, and he has the potential to be violent. In reports, family members describe him as, quote, the life of the party type, boisterous and grandiose. And they also claim he has always been someone who is, quote, too trusting of others, especially women. I don't truly understand that description. Too trusting. Ignorant, maybe, is a better way to put it. Or too weak to say no, or too dumb to realize when you are being taken advantage of. In most cases, that is what too trusting is shined up to mean. There's some indication of mental illness there in O'Donnell, but I have seen nothing tangible to support the claim. Only talk, which is cheap. His life has been characterized as chaotic, as he was involved in several get-rich-quick schemes, and he wound up with significant gambling losses that once placed the onus on his family, who ended up filing for bankruptcy. So again, here we have a wannabe, a lazy dude who is looking for the easy way out of life. My question is, if Julie Harding hooked up with this clown and convinced him or hired him to kill her husband, why hadn't she chosen someone smarter? She had the money to hire an actual hitman. Why this guy? O'Donnell's phone shows he stayed at a casino in Colorado for 2 nights at the end of August through September 2nd, which means he is on the move across the country from California. A quick check, and they see that Julie Harding was in contact with this guy between July 1st, 2022 and September 8th, 2022. Coincidence? Not a freaking chance. By September 3rd, O'Donnell is in Fort Smith, Arkansas. His license plate tag is captured in Kansas on September 2nd, the day before. So we can, literally, track the guy driving across the country en route to Kentucky, according to his own phone records. Then a CCTV camera picks him up on the day Mike is murdered, driving through Burkesville. The location data on his phone also places him in the same location, that White House. 2 subjective sources of evidence. Him in his vehicle on camera and his phone mapping it all out. Then the last location data from the phone, which he soon discards, is from the street where the house is located and Mike was found murdered inside. Smart guy, O'Donnell. He tosses out the phone after the murder. When they counted up the tally of calls, O'Donnell's phone and Julie's phone communicated 194 times up until September 8th. Now we come to November 29th, 2022. O'Donnell's second phone, his personal phone, not the one he used during the murder and then discarded, shows him at Julie Harding's Sacramento home from around 12:50 p.m. until 7:40 p.m. The FBI are now involved because this murder crosses state lines, and they have surveillance on this guy. He's not inside Julie's house, but sitting in his truck near her home, parked about a half-mile away at the Foothill Community Center parking lot. He sits there for a while, and then he drives past Julie's home several times. Now he's stalking her. Stick with me here. Something happens that kind of throws things into an investigative tailspin. As all of that is going on, Julie is arrested on stalking and burglary charges stemming from the theft of Mike's dog. Her mugshot is interesting and displays a woman who has become unhinged and almost gives the appearance as if she's been smoking meth, though I have not seen in any of the documents that she was. Her arrest is just a way for them to get her into the PD and sit her down and begin talking to her about Mike's murder. Plus, she did commit a crime, so there's that as well. Julie is then bonded out and let go. 2 days later, on December 10th, 2022, police in Salina, Tennessee get a call. Remember, That is where Mike and Julie had that retirement house they bought, the one Mike wound up living in until his murder. This call on December 10th is for a possible death. This time, though, it's Julie, who was found dead from a gunshot wound to the head. Head over to patreon.com/MWilliamPhelps and sign up for my free content page. That's patreon.com/MWilliamPhelps. patreon.com/MWilliamPhelps. Let's take another break and come right back. Thank you for listening to Crossing the Line with M. William Phelps. I gratefully appreciate your continued support. On that same day Julie was arrested and questioned and let go, Thomas Francis O'Donnell is on his way to Texas to go stay with his sister. Cumberland County, Kentucky had just issued an arrest warrant for O'Donnell on murder charges. When he didn't make it to Texas, his sister calls into the California Highway Patrol simply because she knew from talking to her brother that he and Julie were messing around. A little hanky-panky, if you know what I mean. This gives the California Highway Patrol enough to start taking a look more closely at Julie and her connection to Mike's murder. They begin searching her desk and office. They uncover a Valentine's and birthday card signed by a guy named Rob. Rob? Investigators begin talking to O'Donnell's sister. Yes, she says, he does go by Rob sometimes. There you go. A direct link between Julie Harding and O'Donnell, the man they believe killed Mike. I probably say this too much on the show, but look, it bears repeating. What can I say? Murder investigation today is about connecting A to B to C and so on, connecting the dots. Sometimes this can take years, sometimes months, and sometimes days. Murderers cannot hide from technology or science. Not happening these days. Of course, they think they can because of their hubris and narcissism. And we just went over the psychology of narcissism last week or the week before. So go back if you are a new listener and check that out. You'll understand better how these people believe they can outsmart technology and science and police. And Julie was, don't forget, a commander and captain in the CHP. So she had some knowledge of forensics and science and technological breakthroughs in murder investigations. So for her, I understand. This was about payback and scorn and revenge. She could not let Mike and the divorce go. She couldn't allow him to win. It became too much for her. This is why, when they take one look at the scene where she is found dead, they know for a fact that she killed herself. It's that Greek tragedy ending to a life that she wanted. The horrible part of it all is that she took a good human being, a guy who was loved and who loved people, away from this world. Thomas O'Donnell is the dope who allowed himself to become sucked into Julie's sociopathic and pathetic world. And it's obvious from the evidence left behind that she lured him into that world with perhaps promises of romance. My bet is she slept with the guy to get him hooked into it all, and then offered him a load of money to commit the ultimate crime. Something he was never, ever, ever going to be capable of getting away with in 10 lifetimes. So now Julie is dead, and O'Donnell is in Texas awaiting extradition back to Kentucky to face murder charges and indictment. This is when they start to dig into his past and speak with his ex-girlfriend. She says Rob, Thomas, O'Donnell, whatever the hell he calls himself, threatened to kill her after she broke up with him in 2005. Over the course of a year, he pushed and he choked her, forced her to have sex with him, the affidavit says, which I call rape. Just saying. And he also harassed her at work and even chased her down with his car. Sounds like a nice guy. In 2008, he was arrested for a DUI. So there's that too. Gambling, losing his family's money, beating and raping women, hitting women, making their lives hell, and then he graduates to murder. Sometimes you can just look back and see it all coming. We have a name for this type of guy on Crossing the Line. Shitbag loser. Sorry. But people have choices. And those choices can affect the lives of others forever. You kill a guy for some cash because a woman you obviously were infatuated with asks you to and floats some cash in your face? That makes you a despicable human being. By January 23rd, O'Donnell is in custody in Kentucky, indicted, and he makes his first court appearance. He pleads not guilty, of course. Why not waste everyone's time now? They don't play down in Kentucky, however. By April 23rd, 2023, the Commonwealth files an affidavit with the intent to, the document makes public, seek the death penalty in O'Donnell's case. The guy could have manned up and pleaded guilty and likely cut a deal, I am sure. Save the victim's family and everyone else the pain and time and tax money of a trial. After all, there is no doubt they got the right guy, and the evidence is, quite honestly, overwhelming. Does he believe that because Julie is dead and cannot testify against him, that he can somehow talk his way out of it all? Of course he does, because he's an idiot and a sociopath, and that is how they think. You see, Julie knew. She understood that in murder for hire cases, the one who sanctions the murder and pays the money is generally the one facing the death penalty, and they had her nailed. So she took the easy way out. Now her flunky, Thomas Francis O'Donnell, Rob, decides to roll the dice with his life and face a jury. I'll be right back with the conclusion. You are listening to Crossing the Line with M. William Phelps, a true crime podcast. One of Mike's new friends in Tennessee told WBKO News, I believe it was months of planning. Mike was in fear for his life because his door was chained up like he was trying to keep someone out. And I think he knew what she, Julie, was capable of. O'Donnell, at 64 years old in May 2026, when he stood to hear the jury read its verdict, does not really show any emotion. It took about 3 years to get to this point where O'Donnell finally faces Lady Justice. But they got here. Guilty, obviously. We got a guilty verdict for murder, and I think right now we're just both in shock. Happy, but in shock, Mike's daughter told KCRA News after the verdict was announced. Mike left behind a twin brother, his mother, his 2 children, and 3 grandchildren. All their lives changed forever. Sickening, really, when you think about how 2 people conspiring together can do this to good people. For what? Because you felt scorned and you lost at life? The death penalty part of the case never got off the ground for the prosecution. It's a tough thing to get into court in a case like this. The jury had 2 choices regarding sentencing. 20 to 50 years or life. So this could have went bad if the jury decided to be lenient. At 64 years old, heading into prison, anything over 25 years, say, is likely going to be a death sentence anyway for O'Donnell. But the jury came through and gave him life. Good for them. Tells me that justice can still thrive in this world. That's it for this week. Be safe, be aware. Sources for this episode include KCRA News Timeline, June 16th, 2023. Commonwealth of Kentucky Notice of Intent to Seek the Death Penalty, April 23rd, 2023. Crossing the Line is executive produced by M. William Phelps, LLC, and Matthew Valentinus, Mom's Basement Management. Written by me, M. William Phelps. Audio mastering and mixing by Matt Russell. Music by Epidemic Sound. Original music written and performed by Thomas Mooney, Tom Phelps, and Matt Russell.